Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our little Wednesday evening session. We're just going to take a few minutes to allow some people to join. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We're going to go through a bit of a heart opener today. So we're going to be focusing across our shoulders, really thinking about opening up our heart. So in any of our postures, having that as our focus, and as always, reconnecting with our breath and bringing some sort of peace and serenity into our mind and into our evening. So if you are just joining me while we wait for a few more people, then I'll turn the comments off. Find yourself in a comfortable seated position. You might find yourself on your knees like this. You might find yourself cross-legged. You might want to have your legs out in front of you, wherever you are that's comfortable for you, where you can have a nice straight back. You're going to find yourself just in a seated position, closing down your eyes and just coming to find some stillness as we move into our practice. We'll just take a few more moments to allow anyone else to join who wants to join, and then we'll make a start. While you are bringing your focus into your practice, you might want to just think about the colour of your breath. So starting to think about our breath coming in and out, just naturally. We might want to move to a nostril breathing as opposed to through our mouth. And you might want to assign yourself a colour for your breath. So as it's the evening, it's nice to think of sunsets and lovely, beautiful orange colours. So just closing down the eyes and imagining that your breath is coming in and out, just at its own pace through your nostrils with that lovely orangey tone to it. We're now going to start to deepen our breath a little bit, so you're going to place your right hand onto your chest at your heart centre and your left hand down onto your abdomen. Really thinking as you breathe in about expanding your lungs and expanding your diaphragm down into your left hand, feeling your stomach expanding as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, the stomach is contracting back in. Seeing if you can squeeze out those last little drops of breath before you then inhale again. If you would like to make a gesture towards Ujjayi breathing, where you're constricting the back of your throat during this practice, it may be a nice thing to give it a go. Ujjayi breathing sort of creates the sound and feeling of waves. So we might be imagining that we're sat on a beach with the beautiful waves lapping against the shore from our breath and the sunset of the colour of orange. Really feeling our ribs expanding as we inhale, our belly's coming out. As we exhale, our ribs are coming back in and our belly's sucking back in. Taking 5 more breaths at your own pace. Having a go at adding that auditory quality to your breath with that Ujjayi breath, constricting the back of the throat. Just bringing our hands to prayer at heart centre, bowing down the head. Namaste. Okay, raising up your head and opening up your eyes. Come to sit with your legs out in front of you. We're going to start off, as always, with our little warm-up for our joints, starting with our toes, working our way up to the top of our head. So on your next inhale, pointing your toes up to the ceiling, exhale, crunching them over. Inhale, exhale, crunching them over. Take 5 rounds of this at your own pace. Moving with your breath. Seeing if you can get that auditory quality to your breath, that Ujjayi breath. Now on your next inhale, flexing your feet up to the sky, exhale, pointing your toes forward. You can really work through your toes here, giving them a lovely flex and then point as you inhale, and then exhale, pointing. Take 5 more rounds at your own pace before we move into ankle rotations. Okay, then just allowing our ankles to rotate round in whichever direction feels comfortable for you. Just check in with your shoulders that they're not creeping up towards your ears, roll them down your spine, checking that your spine is nice and long and you're sat with a straight back. If your hamstrings are a little tight and you want to have your arms and hands down behind you, that's absolutely perfect. There is nothing wrong with taking this stance. Just to give yourself a little bit more support, you might want to just have a little micro bend in those elbows. And let's rotate our feet the opposite way. We never want to overextend anything. We don't want to put over tension into any of our joints, especially early in our practice. So you might want to just give your back a little bit of support if you're not quite able to sit up with a straight back the whole way. We don't want to be crunched over like this. This is not good for us. Okay, then coming into our butterfly or our diamond shape with our legs, and then just starting to flap our wings. If you've been with me for the last nearly 2 months, very exciting, your diamond shape might have changed. You may have started with it a little wider diamond shape, and you may be coming into a slightly shorter shape now as your muscles and your ligaments just start to limber up. Remembering we're just warming up our muscles and our joints, so we're not putting any stress onto anything. We're just taking it at our own pace and remembering to keep with our breath. You may get some nice little clicks like I just had there. Trying to breathe with our diaphragm as opposed to with our shoulders is really helpful for us. It helps us to extend our breath. So on your inhales, your stomach is coming out, and on your exhales, it's pulling back in like your belly button is pulling in towards your spine. Allows our shoulders to stay nice and free, away from our ears, rolled down our back. Okay, coming into a comfortable seated position, we're going to just work on some wrist movements. So inhaling, pointing our fingers up towards the ceiling, exhaling, pointing down towards the floor. Inhale to the sky, exhale to the earth. You might find that you have some little clicks. My left wrist has given me a couple of little clicks today, which is absolutely fine. Oh, and so is my right. Okay, taking 2 more, just an inhale and an exhale. Then coming back to a neutral position, we're just going to do some of our grabs. So literally just grabbing, warming up our forearms, warming up our wrists and our hands and our finger joints, keeping those shoulders away from the ears. Just pulsing in and out with our hands. coming to relax with them down on our knees. You can really feel it down your forearms. I'm just going to take one moment to just skip my next song as it's not working. I apologise. One second, sorry guys. There we go. Okay, moving on to just warming up our side body. Inhale, raise your arms up to the ceiling. Have a little micro bend in those elbows. Bring your shoulders up towards your ears and then pull them down your back. Placing our right hand down just at the sort of same height as our hip, and then extending out ever so slightly. Little bend of our elbow in towards. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding over. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding over. Thinking about shining a heart up to the sky. And feeling that lovely stretch down our side. Inhaling, coming back up to centre. And moving on to our left side. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, coming over to our left hand side. Inhale and exhale, moving a little bit deeper, shining that heart up towards the sky. And then on our next inhale, coming back up to centre. We're going to hinge from our hips forwards, keeping that back nice and straight, placing our hands down onto your mat, because you're probably not facing me, and then walking those hands forwards. Trying to keep that spine nice and long, taking our gaze towards our fingertips to keep our spine nice and long. Inhale, just allowing us to come off a little bit. Exhale, moving a little bit deeper. Try not to round through the spine. And then inhaling, walking our hands back up towards us. Okay, moving into finally just some neck movements. So on your next inhale, looking over your right shoulder for your exhale. Inhale to centre. Exhale to left. Inhale to centre. Exhale to left, to right, sorry. Inhale to centre. Exhale to left. Inhale to centre. Exhale to right. Inhale to centre. Final one. Exhale, gazing over our left shoulder. And then inhale back to centre. On your next inhale and then exhale, taking your chin down towards your chest. Exhale down towards the chest. Inhale, bringing the gaze up towards the sky. Exhale down towards the chest. Inhale slowly up towards the sky. You don't have to have your hand up, I'm just showing you so that you can see nice and clearly that I'm taking slow movements on my inhale and my exhales. And then coming up to centre, moving into our cat-cow position, so our all fours. So this is a really nice position to start us off and really start moving through those joints. So we're going to inhale, looking up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, doming through our upper back. Inhale, the gaze comes up, the back arches. Exhale, rounding over, tucking that tailbone. Inhale, gazing up to the ceiling. Exhale, rounding over. Taking one more inhale. And then one more exhale. Before just taking a few movements and moments for free flow, imagine maybe that you're kind of rolling your body inside of a cylinder, aiming to touch all areas of that cylinder. Having a little wiggle through. Maybe just reminding yourself what child's pose looks like. Wide leg child's pose with our knees open, our chest coming down to the ground, toes touching and arms out in front of us. Or alternatively, a closed leg child's pose where our knees are touching, toes are touching at the back, head comes towards the ground and our arms are behind us. At any point during today's flow or any flows that you do, if at any point you need to take a moment to rest, take yourself into that child's pose and reconnect with the breath. Okay, we're going to just fire up the core a little bit. So we're going to place our left foot back, right arm comes forward. See if you can lift that left leg off the back, off the floor, kicking that heel backwards without rolling our hips out or changing the position. So see if you can bring it back down, and then without moving anything else in your body, we're going to just do some toe taps. 4, 3, 2, the only thing that's moving is our leg. 1, and then coming back down to center. Moving on to the opposite side, kick your right leg back, left arm comes forward. Make sure that elbow is facing inwards, it's not pointing outwards. Just try lifting off that right leg, kicking through with that back heel, and then let's do some taps for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back down into our all fours. We're going to tuck under our toes, spread through our fingers and really grip into the mat before we kick up into our first downward dog. As it's our first downward dog of the evening, possibly of the day, possibly of the week, hopefully not of the month, you are going to just pedal through those hips. See if you can lift your toes off the floor. See if you can get your heels down to the floor. You might like to have a little look underneath your armpit. Give yourself a little wiggle, full body wiggle. Feel that lovely stretch down the side, through the hips, and then come to find some stillness with your feet hip width distance apart. Your heels are making a gesture towards the floor if they're not there. Your shoulder blades are wrapped around and under. Your spine is in a long, straight position with your hips pointing up to the sky and that belly is tucking in. We are not feeling lots of pressure through our wrists, we're really using our fingertips to grip through here. If we choose to, downward dog can be quite an active posture, but it can also be quite a restorative posture. So if you're new to yoga, this might be quite difficult for you. As you move through, you'll find that actually downward dog and taking a moment can be a real joy when you've been moving through. On your next inhale, we're going to come up onto our tiptoes and come forward to plank. We're going to just check out our plank for a moment. So making sure we're doming through the back to push up through our back muscles. Our elbows are pointing in towards each other. Our bottom is engaged, our legs are engaged. And then exhale back to your downward dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale to plank. Now, two options here. If everyone just places their knees down, you can either take the option of a full chaturanga from your plank. So that's our most advanced option, where we're staying in one straight line. Our elbows are tucking in by our sides, and then we're coming down to this position here. We're then coming up into our up dog. So this is our most advanced posture. Alternatively, we're coming from our plank. We're placing our knees down, and we're taking the same position with our upper body as the full chaturanga. But our knees are down, and then we're coming up into cobra. So our thighs are down on the ground, we're making some contact there, before we then push back into our downward dog. Or your third option, placing our knees down in a bit more of a tabletop position, taking that chaturanga, and then coming up into baby cobra. If you've got any lower back pain, this would be my suggestion for you. And then as we push back into our downward dog, coming through a sort of modified child's pose to our downward dog for a little mini vinyasa flow that we're going to take. So options are full chaturanga with no knees down, up into up dog, modified chaturanga with your knees down, and then up into a cobra where you're up with your arms extended, but your thighs are touching onto the ground, as are the tops of your toes and your shins. Or alternatively, if you've got any back issues, taking your knees into a tabletop position, chaturanga, press up down with your knees on the ground, and then taking a cobra where we're taking a nice low stance and our elbows are tucked in by our side. We're still feeling that stretch, but we're not overextending the back, just to give it some more protection. So coming into our downward dog, you of course can change your options as you go through. You might want to start off with one, see if you can challenge yourself to move to another, totally up to you. Inhale to plank. Check your alignment, exhale, take your option of chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, cobra or baby cobra. Exhale, push back to downward dog. We're going to take 5. So that was 1. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. That was 2. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, downward dog. So we're flowing with our breath. 2 more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Last one before we're going to take a child's pose. Keep going. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale to downward dog. Place those knees down on the mat. See if you can get your forehead to rest on the floor. Take a moment in wide legs child's pose. Reconnecting with that breath. Inhale and exhale through your nose. On your next inhale, coming up into tabletop, and then we're going to work through a wild thing. So coming up into our downward dog, you're going to raise your right leg into the air for 3-legged dog. You're then going to place your right foot onto the floor, open up your chest for our first of our heart opening postures for wild thing. The tip of our right toe is on the floor, our left foot is on the floor, our left hand is on the floor. Inhale, come back up to 3-legged dog, and then come to downward dog. Let's have a go at taking it on our left side. I'm just going to shuffle forward slightly because I have a bit of a wall in the way issue. So inhaling up our left foot, exhaling, dropping the left foot down, and left arm comes overhead. As gracefully as possible, three-legged dog into our downward dog. Let's try one more on each side. Inhale, raising up the right leg. Exhale into Wild Thing. Inhale, and then downward dog. Inhale, left leg, opening up, and then coming back round into our downward facing dog. You're going to inhale your right foot, place it in between your hands. I'm going to shuffle back slightly, sorry, so you can see me. We are going to see if we could place our left hand at the same level as our right foot, so we're in a nice low lunge. Our right shoulder is then going to come underneath our right knee to place our right hand on the outside of our right foot. We're then going to push all of our energy into our feet and see if you can lift your hands off, possibly taking sort of an aeroplane stance, possibly seeing if you can come round into a bind. This is moving towards the bird of paradise. Placing our hands back down onto the mat, unfurling ourselves, and then coming back into our downward dog. Let's try on the left side. Inhale, raising the leg up. Exhale, placing between the palms, taking our adjustment. So our right hand is at the same level as our left foot. Our left arm is then going to come underneath to give us some support, placing our energy into our feet, bringing off our hands, possibly taking the bind around the back if that is possible for you. And then placing our hands back down, unravelling ourselves, kicking back up into our downward facing dog. We're going to try again and we're going to see if we can progress onto bird of paradise. So inhaling, right leg up. Exhale, place between the palms. Shoulder goes underneath our right knee. Seeing if we can then take our bind and then bringing our left foot up to meet our right. Really spreading through those fingers on the left foot. We've got our hands bound behind our back, just clasping together. You can't really see, clasping together in this sort of a position if you can. And then if you can, I'm just going to spin to see you. Not the most graceful. If you can, seeing if you can come up. Ooh. Into bird of paradise, seeing if you can extend the leg. Give it a go. You never know what can happen until you try it. If you're here, amazing. If you've got yourself to here, and this is the first time doing a bind, fantastic. You're then going to unravel yourself and come into ragdoll, taking a hold of each of the arms, elbows, sorry, and just allowing yourself a little wiggle before we then move into our opposite side. So from our forward fold, we're going to place our right leg back into our low lunge, just checking our alignment of our hands. Our hands and our foot should be in the same position. They should all be in one straight line across. We're going to place our shoulder underneath, as we did before. We're going to just check to see if we can get ourselves into our bind before very gracefully bringing our right foot up to meet our left, seeing if we can get ourselves up without too much wobbling, and then seeing if you can straighten your left leg as well as your right. If you can, amazing. My strength is not quite there yet, if I'm honest, but it's always nice to try. As you come back down, exhaling. Finding our 2 feet on the ground, coming into our ragdoll, having a little sway out, little bend of the knees. If you manage to get into Bird of Paradise, absolutely fantastic. If you manage to get yourself into a bind in the low lunge, equally as impressive, okay? So it's all about just taking each step at a time as we move, okay? Finally, we're going to move into Malasana before we come down onto the ground. So heel toe, your feet out to the edges of your mat with your heels facing inward and your toes pointing outwards. And then just take a prayer position. I'm just going to rotate so that you can see me. Taking a prayer position, aiming to get our heels onto the ground. You may find that you are here with your heels off the ground. Absolutely perfect, nothing wrong with that. You're just going to have to work a little bit harder. Remembering to keep our focus with our breath. If you can get your heels onto the ground, fantastic. You are aiming to have a lovely straight back. Our tailbone is tucked underneath. And we're just taking a moment to feel this lovely posture within our hips. Broadening out through our shoulders. Using our elbows to add a little bit of pressure to our knees. You might want to just close down the eyes for a moment. If your eyes are closed, just opening them back up. Placing your palms onto the ground. Last week we had a go at crow. If you want to have a go now, please feel free. So placing our knees up towards our armpits and then taking our gaze forward, taking one foot off at a time to be balancing on our arms. Those of you who are not quite there, with your confidence maybe, see if you can give it a go. Maybe you want to put a pillow down in front of your head, just in case. Or you can stay in Malasana, and then we're all going to come to sit down onto our bottoms as we move into our floor positions. So we're going to take some little rock and rolls, placing our hands underneath our sort of knee creases. Just want you to rock and roll back. Check that there's nothing behind you. Feel that lovely massage down your spine. And then we're going to come up into boat pose. From our rock and rolls, you might want to try having your arms out in front of you. You might want to try straightening your legs. Wherever you are, you might find that your feet are on the ground, We're making sure that our back is straight throughout our boat pose. And then we're going to just take 10 counts to come down to lie flat onto our back. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're going to bring your knees to kind of knock in the middle and just window wipe those knees a little bit. Okay, finding our feet in a hip distance apart, we're going to have a go either bridge or wheel. If you are taking full wheel, you already know what you're doing, I hope. If you are joining me for bridge, we are going to kind of place our shoulder blades underneath, lifting our bottom up, our hips are going up towards the sky, and then pressing our hands down, trying to keep our knees together. If you have got something like a block, or maybe a really thick book, or something that you can put in between your knees to clasp hold of, it might be a pillow. This is a really good way of making sure that our legs are engaged, because you'll notice if my knees start to go out, the block will start to slip. So I have to keep my bottom engaged, I have to keep my knees together to keep that engagement through my legs. Taking a few breaths here. Lovely chest and heart opening posture. Before then, very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, unfurling ourselves, removing our block if we had one. If you were in full wheel, fantastic, bring yourself back down, and we're going to just give our knees a little hug in, tucking our head, maybe have a little rock side to side, feeling that lovely massage on the spine. And then coming to have our right ankle on top of our left knee and sort of threading the arm through, and then bringing our left leg in towards the body to feel that lovely stretch down the outside of our right thigh and our right glute. Keeping both of our feet engaged to keep our knees protected. And then swapping over our legs. So our left ankle comes onto our right knee. We can use our left elbow onto our left knee just to give a little bit of pressure to really feel that lovely stretch down the side of the thigh and down the side of the glute. Inhale, bring both legs up, tuck them in towards the body, and then allowing them to either come into full length into butterfly, or if you've got any back issues or problems, knocking our knees together with our feet just over hip width apart to come into our Shavasana. Closing down the eyes. palms are facing up to the ceiling. And just taking a full body scan, so starting at the very tips of our big toe, moving through our feet, relaxing the soles of our feet, the tops of the feet, relaxing through the ankles, the calves, shins, feeling the relaxation in our knees, the backs of our knees, the backs of our thighs, the fronts of our thighs, feeling the relaxation in our hips, in our glutes, in our abdomen and our lower back. Feeling all of our organs being relaxed and suspended beautifully. As we move our relaxation up to our thorax and our rib cage. Relaxing through our upper back, clavicle region, shoulders, relaxing through our tips of our fingers, the palms of our hands, the backs of our hands, our wrists, forearms, elbows, upper arms, feeling that relaxation moving through to the top of our spine, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your tongue away from the roof of your mouth, relaxing your cheeks, your eyes, your eyelids, relaxing the space where our third eye is between our eyebrows, feeling that relaxation moving through our forehead and all the way to the top of the crown of our head. Feeling absolute stillness and relaxation throughout the body. If you have nowhere to rush off to, please do take this Shavasana a little longer. But for those of you who are finishing with me, just starting to re-energize the body by wiggling through the fingers, the toes, feeling all the benefits of today's practice, going through our body, energizing our body, coming onto our left hand side, placing your right palm onto the ground and just taking a moment to rest before we come into our seated position, doing our best to keep our eyes closed throughout and coming into a seated comfortable position, whatever is comfortable for you. Reconnecting with that breath as we started our practice. Filling our lungs all the way up to the top and emptying them all the way down to the bottom. Bringing your hands to prayer at heart center. Bowing down your head Being grateful for yourself for coming onto the mat today. Being grateful to have the time and the space to practice. And being grateful for the small things in life that we can find joy in every single day. Namaste. Raising your head up with a lovely big smile on your face. To open up your eyes, flutter your eyes open. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you for coming along to the class. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit shorter than usual, but such is the way in life. Next week there will not be a class as I am moving house and I don't think we'll be ready and set up with everything, but I hope that in 2 weeks' time I'll be back practicing with you guys. And in the meantime, please do head over to my page and flow through with any of the videos that are up there. There are some shorter videos for you and also some full flows, so feel free to have a go and flow along with the previous videos, or maybe repeat today's practice if you enjoyed it. Any feedback that you have is always welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely evening. Namaste.